Hello everybody, welcome to my channel Grammar Fun. My name is Jaya and we will be learning grammar together. The chapter which we are going to see today is chapter 5, The Valley of Fears. Okay, so before we begin the chapter, let us do some warm up. Now in the previous chapter, The Apricot Tree, we read about a family who had to leave their home in a big hurry to escape danger. Ammi, Habiba, they were asked to pack a few bare essentials, a few bare important things. Now, if you were in the same situation, what would be your bare essentials? Now, these are my bare essentials. My bare essentials will be to take important documents, papers, or anything, then warm clothes, footwear, can of water, and something to eat. What will be your bare essentials? If you have a pet, will you take it with you? Now, if you have a dog or a cat or anything at home, according to me, yes, I would take my pet. I would keep it with me and look after it as long as I can. So, now let's continue the story. Before I knew it, the sun was up and Ammi was shaking me awake. She looked tired as if she had not slept a wink. She gave me the last of the naans to eat. It was hard and dry, but I ate all of it. So, the narrator is the one who is talking, that small boy. Before he got up, before he knew, it was very fast. The sun was up. Ammi was waking him awake. He got up and Ammi gave him some naans, like a bread, to eat. And it was dry actually, but then he ate it. Hurry, Ammi said. We must be on our way before the shelling starts. So what did Ammi say? Come on, hurry up. We have to go before the bombing starts. We passed two villages. They were totally deserted. There was not a single house without a roof or a wall missing. The ruined village made me sad. Everyone was quiet, even Habiba. Just as we passed the last house, there was a scuffling sound. Habiba shrieked. A big black head stared at us sadly through a broken wall. So they passed two villages. They were totally deserted, all alone. Not even a single house without a roof or a wall missing. Everything was destroyed. The ruined village actually made the narrator very sad. Everyone was quiet, even Habiba, the small girl, even she was very quiet. Just as they were passing, okay, they saw something black. Habiba shrieked, shouted loudly. Okay, so big black head came through a broken wall. It was a yak. It had a little brass bell that tingled when it shook its head. It was a cheerful sound. The yak nuzzled its head against Tummy. Its eyes seemed to plead. What was it? What was a blackhead? It was a yak. Now it had a small bell tied to his neck. So whenever it moved its head, this bell used to tingle. Now this tingling was actually like a very happy sound to them. Okay, the yak nuzzled its head, brought his head next to Ammi and just like rubbing. So its eyes, like it was like begging, pleading, please. All right, said Ammi, we won't let you behind. Come along. She made Habiba and me sit on the yak's back and led it by the rope around its neck. The yak was smelly, but I didn't mind. I was happy to rest my feet. Habiba started to sing. We passed a hillside covered with yellow roses. Habiba made me get down and pluck a few for her. So Ami looked at the yak and she was like, okay, fine, you can come along with us. Ami put Habiba and the narrator both on the yak, and the yak was actually very smelly. It was dirty, but then they actually got rest, so he didn't actually mind it. Now he was very happy. Habiba started to sing. Well, on the way, they saw flowers, so the narrator got down from the yak to pick some flowers for Habiba. When the sun was just over the ridge, the shelling began. So when the sun just rose, boom, the bombing again started. The first one landed just a few hundred yards away. It hit an army truck. So the first bombing was just from where they are, 100 yards away. It came and hit an army truck. A huge ball of flame rolled out. Ami grabbed Habiba and pulled me off the yak. The yak was frightened out of its wits. I could see the whites of its eyes. It dashed off into a field, its bell tingling crazily. We scrambled into a ditch and lay low. Through the deafening noise of the shells came the shouts of soldiers, the wails of frightened children. I kept listening for the yak's bell. So, this firing was going on and on. Ammi actually pulled the narrator and Habiba off the yak. Now, the yak got very scared. It ran off into the field. Its bell was tingling. They got scrambled. They crawled and they scrambled into a ditch, a hole like thing, and they were lying there low. From there, they could hear all sorts of sound, armies and children crying and all. And the narrator was actually listening for the yak's bell. At last, the shelling stopped. The convoy started moving. I must go and look for the yak, I said to Ami. So at last, the bombing stopped. So what did the narrator say? I will go and I'll look for the yak. No, she said. Then seeing my face, all right, go, but be back in 10 minutes. It may be. So what did Ami say? No, no, you cannot go. But then looking at him, she finally said, okay, fine, go. But then you have to come back in 10 minutes. Maybe it is dead, I said, interrupting her. But what if it is not? What if it is alive and scared and waiting for us? So, narrator suddenly dead? Oh, maybe it is not. Maybe it is waiting for us. Maybe it is scared. It is only a yak, she said gently. It sounded cruel to me. Only a yak? So, what did Ammi say? It's just a yak, just an animal. So, it was like something very cruel, not good for his ears. I clambered out of the ditch and ran into the field. There were huge craters where the shells had landed, as if a giant hand had clawed out the earth. The yak lay on the edge of one crater. It was still. Beneath it was a growing pool of blood. I have never felt so sad as I did then, looking at that poor, gentle creature now dead. I looked up at the mountains that had always seemed friendly. Hiding in their folds were men who had so casually destroyed my whole world. What harm had we ever done to them? So the narrator ran into the field. And he saw a lot of things. The earth was all, mud was all here and there. Then he saw the yak. The yak was lying in a blood, in blood. He felt very sad. He looked at the mountains. There were people from the mountains. They were actually destroying the village. So he was asking, what did we do to destroy our village? I heard footsteps. It was a soldier, tall and strong, with a beard and a black turban. His rifle was slung across his shoulder. He looked fierce, but when he spoke, his voice was not unkind. Your mother is waiting. It is not safe for you to be here. We will give you a ride to town. Then he saw the dead yak. Your friend? I nodded glumly. So suddenly he heard footsteps. It was a soldier, very tall and strong, with a beard and black turban. And his rifle, the gun was across his shoulder. So he looked very fierce, very like a danger thing. But when he spoke, his voice was not that kind. He was very rude. He said, your mother is waiting. You must not stay here. It is not safe. We'll give you a ride to the town. And then he looked at the yak and said, is it your friend? He just nodded his head. Bending down, he took the little brass bell off the neck. Keep this, he said gently, to remind you of your friend. So, what did the soldier do? He just bent down, took the bell from the yak's neck, and gave it to him and said that you can keep this as a memory of your friend. He lifted me across his shoulder and walked back. So, the soldier actually lifted the narrator and walked back. We reached the camp without any mishap. The first person I spotted was Sadiq Ali. So, without any problems or anything, they reached the camp. The first person he saw was Sadiq Ali, his teacher. So, you have made it, he said in his cool, precise voice. School starts tomorrow. So, what did Sadiq Ali said in a very cool and very brief voice, correct voice? Oh, you have come. So, tomorrow school starts. But we don't have a schoolhouse, I protested. So he was against, narrator was against that. He didn't want to have a school. But suddenly, but we don't have a schoolhouse. We do, he grinned, pointing at a big shady tree. So what did Sadiq Ali? He looked at the shady tree and said, yes, we do have a house. Class begins at 9 a.m. Since then, we have been living in a tent. So, from that time onwards, they were living in a tent. It is crowded but cozy. It's very crowded. Lot of people are there, but very comfortable. Abba and Usman had joined us. So have old Suleiman and Amina. The winter has come and gone. So, oh, all the people have come there to the camp. His father, his brother Usman, and their neighbor old Suleiman and Amina all have come. The winter has come and gone. Abba went to see our house recently. We will have to build a new one, he said. But the apricot tree is fine. It is in bloom. So Abba went to see their house. It was actually all destroyed, so he said we have to build a new one, but the apricot tree which was there, that is still there. It is fine, it is in bloom, means it is actually blooming. I hope you have understood the chapter. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.